So, hello, I am Juno Lucita. Can you tell me your name and a little bit about your work?
I'm Rayven, the author and illustrator of the Mystic Realms novel series. I'm 34, a mom of two, and in an 11-year relationship. I wrote this with a former friend as a hobby and then had to rewrite it many times.
Awesome, that sounds great. And what inspired you to write your novel, Angel Diary?
Well, like I said, to be honest, I can't take full credit for the series. The first draft started with my former friend. It was just like a fun way for our characters to interact with each other at first in like a variety of places. But then we had a falling out, and that's when I had to rewrite everything entirely. And then once that was started, it was more inspired by like forbidden love, loyalty, friendship, and finding yourself.
That's great. And like, besides the whole falling out, do you enjoy like writing with others?
I do.
Great. So, how did you develop the world building for your settings, like heaven and hell?
Well, through the second and third drafts, I imagined what hell would look like to a demon living there, an angel visiting, and a soul coming through for judgment, and vice versa for heaven. And I kind of did that process throughout like all the realms in the books.
Great. That's a perfect way to make a setting. Think of yourself as if you're the character. Were any characters or events inspired by personal experiences or people in your life?
Nixie was actually inspired by Amy Lee Hartzler of Evanescence. Her music and singing have been like a huge inspiration to me for like, I don't know how long in my life now. And some of the experiences that I've gone through are in the book, more like the mental illness notes, less like the interpersonal relationship stuff.
Makes sense. What's your favorite song?
Oh, geez, there's a lot of them. That's very hard to choose. I can't pick one.
That's totally fair. I have a lot of artists I like that I also can't pick. What was your most challenging part of writing your book?
The rewriting. There was 5 finished books already done, and then a 6th unfinished one that I had to figure out what to do with. It was a very hard process, but I loved every minute of it. I got to like recreate the world, the characters, invest in their lives, and kill my heart in the process.
That's totally fair. And how many of the books do you have published now?
4.
4. It's a great amount. How did you decide on the unique personalities and traits of these gods and demons?
Some of them were inspired by the people I know. Like the demons, they were hard to figure out, especially during the rewrite because the demons were my friends, so I had to figure out their personalities for myself. But I knew that the angels and demons were going to be a contrast to each other in a way, and the demon gods were definitely influenced by like the traits of their sins.
Oh yeah, that definitely makes sense. That's how I'd be writing demons as well. So Nixie is such a bold and complex character. How did you approach the writing behind her?
Kind of cringy, but she was first named Amy Lynn Rose, and it was my inspiration from Amy Lee and, my sarcastic self that I mixed together to make her. I'd watched interviews with Evanescence, and I felt that Amy Lee was just like such a sweet and loving person, but she would also stand up for what she believed in.
And what would you say inspired the dynamic between Nixie and Ares?
They're the titular couple for which the entire series started. I don't want to spoil anything from the upcoming prequel, but they do have a history. They didn't always start out like the way they did in the first book. They didn't meet on that rooftop encounter, that's all I'm going to say.
How did you decide on the animal traits for the demon gods?
That one wasn't my decision, that was the co-author. I don't want to discredit them on that. I just decided on the different breeds in the same species after the rewrite, because some of the plot lines still intertwined with the animal traits.
That's great. And is there a character you relate to the most?
There'd be Nixie for the mental illnesses and Barack for the emotional support, because I always try to be a supportive person and someone that my friends can come to and talk to. I'm generally a sweet person and in a good mood most of the time.
What was the significance of Nixie's intuition and powers?
How to answer without spoiling things. Her intuition is more of a psychic thing that she has, whereas her shadow powers are a rare gift that's also tied to a plot line in a later book. They serve to show that there is something unique about her, because not everyone has her keen sense or the shadow touch. And her knowing the strangeness of her powers shows that she knows she's unique. She doesn't even understand why, but just lives with it. She wants to know where they come from, and that's answered in book 3.
Awesome. And the book, it explores themes like free will, identity, loyalty. How did you develop these themes?
I'm glad you asked. I got to explore that during the rewriting process. With free will, I imagined that being in heaven after death would be like, freedom incarnate. No rules, no worries, but hell, well, you screwed up and you're there for punishment, so you have no choice in anything. Identity is more like, just more than who you are. It's also about making your own confident choices, finding your own voice no matter where you are, and finding home in that.
Ooh, so those are some good themes to have in a book. How do you approach blending romance and action in your storytelling?
That's a balance for sure. I find that typically mixing in humor and sarcasm with calm moments can either help catch readers off guard for like a sudden turn of events on the next page, or use a sway of romance to soothe the emotional storm I just created.
Yeah, that's totally fair. That's actually my favorite thing to do. Romance and action. I love reading books to have those in it together.
Yeah,
What do you hope readers take away from Nixie's journey?
That no one's perfect, and even someone who seems to be getting things laid out for them can still be struggling inside. No one gets it right the first time, and everyone has their demons.
It's very powerful. And I agree with you there. So, the contrast between heaven and hell is vivid. Was this a metaphor for something deeper?
It sort of is. The residents reflect the realms in a way that angels are seen as pure and divine, demons are seen as tainted and sinful. But what if they were only that way because of the place they lived? Environmental bias, if you would. If you're believed to act a certain way because of what and where you are, you tend to just go with it to not rock the boat, because it's easier to do what's expected than to try and act differently.
Oh, I agree really well with that, actually, especially in life, and I like that you added that into the book because it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta do something different to make something different happen.
That is true. How do you balance humor and seriousness in your writing?
It really depends on the seriousness of the scene. Some things just don't have humor at the end, like mental lapses, because there's nothing funny about that, while others have humor because laughter can soothe nerves and ease tension.
How long did it take you to write the Angel Diaries?
Angel Diaries Book 1 itself took a few months to originally write, and then about 4 years to do 3 rewrites at a constant pace. The series itself in a whole has been a passion project I've been working on for 13 years now. Rewrites, art, and character books included. It's a very in-depth universe.
That is a long time to write books, but it must feel very worth it now that it's out.
It is, I just love it.
Did you face any writer's block while working on the book? And if you have, how did you overcome it?
Plenty of writer's block over the rewrites and 6 books, and oh my gosh, so much. But I figured out early on that using an outline for my books is easier to help me keep the story flowing, even if I forget where it was or what was going on. And music, a lot of music.
Oh yeah, that definitely makes sense. I like to outline things as well. Um, do you have a playlist that you have? Like, I know a lot of new authors are doing that, where they add a playlist in the front of their books. Do you have that at all?
It's more like playlists I listen to while I write. I'll have like one's called a villain arc, for like when I have to write as my main villain, or when someone's doing something evil, or like I just have different playlists for different moods to help me get in the mood.
You should totally show me that playlist. It sounds awesome. What was your favorite scene to write and why?
In book 1, there's 2. I loved writing the flashback to the courtroom scene with Nixie, as that showed that Nixie was just fine giving up a life that she had for something she had always wanted, happiness. And who wouldn't dream of flipping off an authority figure on their way out? Just a perfect shot of her sarcasm. The second scene I love is when a certain character walks in Hell's castle and puts King Lucifer in his place with a few sentences. She's the queen of sass.
That does sound fun. I would also enjoy writing something like that. Were there any scenes or characters that you cut during editing?
Oh, there was so much. There were originally 7 gods of hell for each of the sins, but after the rewrite, I had made it 5 and made 2 gods have 2 sins, because why not? And each book had its own storyline aside from the main storyline, which made things very confusing. And there was just too much romance, and that made it feel more like romantasy with action, and I didn't want that.
How do you develop such detailed environments and sensory details?
It's something that I learned in therapy, because I've been in therapy for a while. It's like a grounding technique to like close your eyes and use all your senses to try and imagine things and get in touch with what you're trying to feel.
Oh, I think I know that technique. You mentioned plans for the series. What can readers expect for future installments?
Book 2, we venture further into more of the realms, along with book 3 and 4. Like, as we go into the series, we're gradually exploring all of the universe and seeing not only like how the main choice in book 1 affected her, but everybody else, and sort of the psychological effects of what the chosen one kind of thing is.
I know when I'm writing, world building is actually one of my favorite things, even if it can be a lot, because there's a lot of things to do with it. What would you say is your favorite part of writing a book?
It's a mix between the world building and making the characters. I love to just close my eyes and imagine new places, and then I can come up with new people. It's just so much imaginative, creative things.
Yeah, especially because when you're writing, the characters are like parts of you, like different parts of you, so it's really fun to just write them out.
And I love it.
Will we learn more about Nixie's mysterious past and her powers in future books?
Yeah, we will. We get that covered in book 3, I think, and a little more in book 4.
And do you plan to expand on the roles of the gods in future books?
Of course. They're going to be, I'm stumbling over my words here. Sorry. We'll explore what their roles are in like the council and what their daily lives are like.
How do you keep the storyline fresh and engaging across multiple books?
As I mentioned before, I do have outlines for my books, and there's a specific notebook that I write all my ideas in. Story-wise, when things aren't fast-paced or chaotic, we can always visit one of the 7 realms to see what's going on and catch up with someone there. There's always something to do when there's a beautiful universe and so many people to have a story of their own.
That's awesome, and that's very great that you have like one good notebook. See, I try to write books, and I have like 16 notebooks just for one story, and it gets chaotic because it's not put together.
I had like, I don't know, 8 notebooks for the first draft of the series. And I was looking at like, I have this stack of notebooks. Oh dear.
What's been the most surprising feedback that you have received so far from your readers?
I've just been thrilled to have feedback at all. Most of it has been positive, like 99% of it. And I love the reception. The reviews are fantastic. The illustrations have been praised. The story is new to those who've read it. One review praised the narrative format, and I have a fan base on social media already. I was worried that I was so biased to my own work that I alone would love it, but that's just writer's bias. I'm just happy that people have been like, I love the story, the artwork's nice. I'm just happy people like it.
So do you now like your writing? I know a lot of people are very hard on themselves, but with receiving all that positive feedback, do you feel really good about your writing?
I do. I feel wonderful about it.
How do you hope readers will connect with Nixie's struggles and triumphs?
I hope they'll connect with her in that they can see themselves going through hard times and pulling through it with the help of support. I hope they can connect with any of the characters, actually, not just Nixie. That's why I wrote in so many perspectives, to give each character their own voice and personality for readers to connect with.
Cloudy skies.
And a report of weather.
Sorry, it just came. Have readers influenced any changes or ideas for future books?
One of my first buyers and fans who I talked with actually now has her own character in the books. She's a snow leopard named Doretta, so keep an eye out for her. And readers have given me some ideas for future books, mainly on how to approach certain things differently going forward, and I appreciate that.
They're definitely very engaging with your audience there.
Very much so.
Love that. What kind of emotional journey do you want readers to experience while they're reading your book?
I want them to feel like they're part of the Mystic Realms family, like they're in the world, seeing things from the people's eyes. When someone is feeling upset, they want to know if that character will feel better. Or if someone gets hurt, if they can recover or not. I want the readers to feel invested in the journey, like they're part of it, not just like third-party perspective reading it.
Yeah, that's definitely how I feel when I start reading books. I get really involved and it's like I'm a character. It's awesome.
Yeah, you want to just dive in and be like, oh, what happens next?
Yes. If Angel Diaries were to be adapted into a film or series, what would your dream cast look like?
Really, there's only one other person besides me that I specifically would want in the movie. The other characters can be played by anyone else. That shouldn't be a surprise, but Amy Lee for Nixie. Nixie is a siren, and Amy has that magical voice after all.
That'll be very interesting to see. I actually would love to see your story as a film or series.
Oh, I'd love a series, a film, just like put it up somewhere. The dream.
Okay, well, that was nice. I have, what advice would you give to aspiring authors?
My advice is this. Go ahead and write. You're writing for you and no one else. If you love it, don't let anyone stop you. There's going to be someone somewhere that has a problem with what you do, so just do it anyway. Live for you.
And do you have any, like, street teams, arc teams, meta teams?
I do have some ARC teams, yeah. They're currently reading through book 1 and 2 right now. They've yet to get into the full journey that is, the end of 2 and 3.
Awesome. And now the last question that I always ask everybody. Where can we find your books?
You can find them on Amazon. Search Mystic Realms novels or Rayven Luna Nite on Amazon and you'll find me. And thank you so much for having me. It's been an exciting honor.
Of course. I'm very happy to have you. Bye.